Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is Lord Shaxx Pro Skater, Josh Finney.
Oh my God. Corey, the shriek that left my lungs when I saw that we are getting Cloud Strider boards in-game. Man, I was so excited to see that news this morning. I couldn't believe we got TWAB at 10 a.m. Central Time today. I thought it was a joke at first.
I know. I saw Tom Warren, of all people, talking about him like, this is early.
Yeah,
this is early.
That is the earliest one we've gotten in quite some time.
I mean, I'm not mad.
No, not at all. I gotta say, I was skimming it and I'm like, oh, thank God. It's still a little beefy, but it's so much shorter than like the last 3 weeks have been.
Yeah, I know. I had to read the last one by myself. That was fun.
Well, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, as I promised everybody they'd get an explanation. If you're not a part of the Discord, and you somehow missed Corey's explanation last week, I got to go to the Mavs and Dallas Mavericks Phoenix Suns game. And I love the Mavericks. I love Luka. I like Kyrie. And it was Katie and Booker, obviously, for Phoenix. It was very cool. I was 10 rows behind the basket. Had a perfect view. It's absolutely incredible. Great. They won. It's my first time seeing Luka in person, in the flesh. So, listen, I have a partner who could give two shits about basketball. So, going to basketball games is not in our vocabulary. She would if she's going to be dragged to a sports game, she would watch literally anything else, I think.
Yeah, well, it's fair, I guess.
Yeah, I watch enough of it at home that she's just like, yeah, I don't feel the need to ever go to a game. So she was very happy. I went with my dad. It was a really cool experience. My dad, my stepsister, and I went. So
nice.
A lot of fun. Really cool. Went courtesy of the Mavericks. Shout out. I know, Marky Mark, I know you listen to this. Shout out to you and your employees for hooking us up. But,
Marky Mark.
Once in a lifetime opportunity. Very happy. It's a great season to go. So, yeah. I'm back, though. I'm ready, and I'm rearing to go. Excuse me. I'm a little under the weather. No camera tonight. There is a circuit blown in my office, so I have no power in that entire room.
Yeah, I think for the next hour and 30 minutes, I'm just going to replay Max Strus's three-quarter shot to beat the Mavericks from the other night.
Bitch.
and Josh's window.
I'm so mad.
Oh,
but to spare everybody from me talking about sports for the next hour and a half, because I could easily do that, talking about the NBA of all things. Let's start with a little bit of industry news here before we get into the TWAB.
Which set of layoffs are we talking about tonight, Josh?
Well, so and that was the thing, because originally on Monday Monday or Tuesday, I forget which day it was at this point. I was like, oh shit, Sony just did 900 layoffs. We need to talk about Sony because Sony is the parent company of Bungie. And then EA did it yesterday. And then today, did anybody get fired? No, we had two companies break free today. Saber Interactive broke off from Embracer officially. It's 3,500 devs, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We got the news that Gearbox within the coming weeks they will not be going independent. They are being sold.
Yeah. Randy Pitchford already announced he apparently told the studio his decision.
He told them earlier this week in a town hall that the company is being sold, that Embracer is selling them.
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's only two potential buyers here. It's either you got to assume it's 2K.
I would say it's 2K,
because no matter where they go, 2K still controls. And this is what I don't think Embracer quite understood or thought that they would still be able to overcome. 2K owns anything related to Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick quiz: Has Gearbox made anything in like the last 4 years? Made themselves, not published, anything in the last couple of years that is not Borderlands adjacent since they were purchased by Embracer? And the answer is no.
No. I would argue they haven't made anything good that wasn't called Borderlands or Borderlands adjacent in the last 2 decades.
Brothers in Arms is the last thing I can think of.
Yeah. Although Randy Pitchford did try to compare Duke Nukem Forever to Half-Life. There's an interview.
You remember when he swore that that Battleborn was not free to play, and it was in fact free to play?
Yeah.
I got blocked by him on Twitter over that.
That's
my proudest block. Him, and Jason Schreier were all arguing in the comments, and I'm pretty sure he blocked both me and Jason that day. Anyways, all joking aside, there have been a shitload of layoffs this week. Sony's in particular are pretty bad.
Speaking of Sony, did you see the Fire Sprite news coming out?
I did. So that is late breaking news. That came out about an hour or two ago. A culture of abuse, sexual harassment, crunch, etc., all at Fire Sprite. That is one of the studios that suffered layoffs this week and downsizing. Sony came in and pretty sweepingly cut about how much of Fire Sprite got cut? Like 30-40%, something like that.
I think it was at least 30.
Okay. It's hard to keep up with these. They closed London studio in its entirety.
Yeah, which is hilarious. No, well, it's not hilarious for the people that work there, but like the fact that Jim Ryan was there 5 days before they closed the studio down and nobody had any idea is like
egregious.
Yeah.
Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Guerrilla are also affected, which those are like outside of Santa Monica, those are the 3 most important studios they have. Those are the 4 most important Sony studios. So what does it say that Insomniac put out a Game of the Year contender, put out a game that just cleaned up at the DICE Awards, just won like 6 awards at DICE?
Wasn't this their first like layoffs ever at the studio too?
Yes. They've never done layoffs at Insomniac before. And they've been working through the data breach that happened right before Christmas, the hacking. They put out a game that has in under 6 months sold more than 10 million copies and is only available on the PlayStation 5. And this is how they were rewarded.
Yeah.
What does it say for the state of the gaming industry that you can put out a game like that and you still get layoffs?
Yeah, it's not a good look.
It's not a great look. And then I mean, in regards to Naughty Dog and Guerrilla, like it's not the first time that they've had layoffs. Naughty Dog went through some last spring actually.
Yeah. I would the only thing I could say about the Naughty Dog ones is like they hired up for a live service game that got canceled, and so those people I guess aren't needed anymore.
I'll say this. I'm becoming less accepting of excuses like that, both from Sony and from Microsoft, from EA, etc., because you can shift those people onto another project.
Sometimes.
Because I don't think there's anything wrong with if you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna go in a different direction with Naughty Dog. We're not gonna do The Last of Us online. Those folks that you hired for that online game still know how to work with the tools that make The Last of Us. Why not transition some of them there? If you have like online specialists, why not use this as an opportunity to reinforce your visual arts team, which is that's their famous internal studio that helps get these games across the finish line, that saw a lot of layoffs last year for some inexplicable reason.
Yeah.
You could use them to buff up Bungie, which clearly needs the help getting Final Shape across the finish line. You could use them to work on the Horizon multiplayer game, which is not canceled, by the way. You could use them to help with Haven's game. There are so many projects you could use these guys on still, and I'm done with the excuses of, well, they overhired during the pandemic, and that's not what you're saying, but the thing I've been seeing going around, and that we've even said ourselves, is, well, companies overhired during the pandemic. That was the line with the Bungie layoffs. I'm done making excuses for these companies that bring in trillions of profits, billions and or trillions of profits a year. you could keep them. Somebody did a breakdown. I want to say it was Ethan Gatch over at Kotaku did a breakdown of EA's layoffs yesterday. They laid off 600 and something people and canceled a Star Wars FPS. Like, of all the things to cancel at EA, I don't think canceling a Star Wars FPS is like the smartest thing to do, but okay.
Yeah, especially from Respawn, who is like the master at FPS.
Respawn, who clearly respects the IP and has never missed with a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
That's
you're gonna go cancel that, but he did a breakdown with the 600 people that were laid off. EA bought back like 2 million shares of stock or something last year. That the price they paid to get all that stock back, they could have kept every one of these employees employed at their current salaries for like years. And that's just absolutely mind-boggling. Like they said in their EA said in their statement that they're shifting towards less licensed content and less original IP. So you look at it, they are currently working on the follow-up to Jedi Survivor.
mm-hmm.
They canned a Star Wars FPS. There supposedly was an RTS in development somewhere. Who knows if that still exists? They're making the Iron Man game at EA Motive, and they're making the Black Panther game. If I'm on any of those teams, outside of the Jedi team, if I'm on any of those other teams, I am not sleeping comfortably for like the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because any one of those could get... Now, like, if they can... The Mando game, from what I understand, this game wasn't going to come out like soon, but it could have been like a mid to late 2025 game, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
That this game apparently had a very, very solid vertical slice that had multiple levels already fully completed when they canned it. One of the senior artists at Respawn was like, "Yeah, I've spent 2 years bringing the lead character to life, and now nobody will ever get to see it. This is fucking great, basically." Great. I don't know what to say anymore. Like, when you don't even want to put out a game that would be guaranteed to bring you probably like 8 to 10 million in sales because you don't think it's going to be profitable enough, aka it's you guys don't make content for FIFA and Madden Ultimate Team.
Yeah.
I know it's not FIFA anymore, it's like EAFC or whatever. Like, how relieved do you think EA is that they're not paying for the FIFA license anymore?
Yeah, I know. Or the NCAA license now.
And it's so silly that like we're seeing all, and like we're seeing these layoffs from Sony. Like, Sony in their statement was like, we're doing this is reflecting, how we're going as a business, and basically the new heads are coming in and being like, oh, we're not doing this live service bullshit that Jim Ryan wanted. But also, like, it may not be as apparent and like in your face as the Xbox leadership statement was a couple of weeks ago, when they were like, yeah, we're going to take some of our games multi-platform. Sony's basically saying they're going to have to start doing the same thing. Like, even if that just means bringing stuff to PC on the same day, like, they have to be seeing the numbers that Helldivers 2 has done on PC and been like, anything that has multiplayer goes to PC day one from now on.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe they weren't doing that already, except that they don't have a lot of multiplayer stuff. So
I think they're even getting to the point where like single player is going to have to do it. The PS5 is still being manufactured and sold at a loss. They're supposedly coming out with the PS5 Pro this year, which is going to be even more expensive, by the way. Because
why would you even I don't know, man.
The digital Slim console is more expensive than the digital regular PS5 that I bought on launch day.
I know.
It's $50 more expensive.
I know.
And then like, oh, but you can add a disk drive onto it, which is even more money. And it's like, PSVR 2 is clearly being abandoned.
Yeah, well, they're testing PC stuff on it, right? Like they're trying to move it over to the PC audience.
It has been out for 10 months, and they shuttered a studio that was working on a massive title for it. Mm-hmm. They've canceled other projects, like, but we've got all this money to throw at Hideo Kojima, and he wants to make a movie and all this, and like, it's very clear like Kojima doesn't really want to make games anymore. But it's like, okay, so you got money for all this experimental bullshit. Is that actually going to make you money? Because Death Stranding did not make them money.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they had to license it out to 505 to let them take it to PC so quickly.
It's a prestige thing, right? It's a prestige thing for them.
And it's like, and I get that. I get that you want to be able to brag. I mean, just like, Xbox, I'm sure is thrilled that they can say we have the next game from Tim Schafer, exclusive to Xbox.
Mhm.
We have the next game from Josh Sawyer. Well, maybe it's not fully exclusive, but like we have Josh Sawyer's next game exclusive. We have Todd Howard. Like that, there's your best comparison. Like we have games from Todd Howard exclusive to our platform.
Mhm.
And when that's not doing it for you, like clearly you got to pivot away from just doing the living room boxes. And somebody clearly at some of these companies has seen things that like the rest of us haven't quite picked up on yet. The big thing I was seeing was Matt. We love Matt Piscatella over at Circana. He was talking about this the other day, that there's these black hole games that basically have sucked up the entire industry. There's like 10 to 12 of them, all multiplayer or always online games. And that's where almost all revenue and all playtime goes to these days. And it's so hard to break through that as a new IP or as a single player game. Like that's why like we should be celebrating Baldur's Gate 3 even more than we already do. It broke through that. Helldivers 2 has broken through that. But the idea of a black hole game is basically like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Roblox, Minecraft. Like people have these few games that they're so invested in, and then but they keep pumping out new content, so I'm going to keep playing them.
Mhm.
I'm going to buy battle passes. I'm going to buy expansions. I'm going to live in these worlds with my friends, and it makes it real hard for anything else to break through.
Yep.
So I don't know where we go from here. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see, and I guess I'll finally loop this back around to some Destiny. I'm interested to see how Destiny exists past the final shape. If Sony is going to
Mm.
continue to want to dump money into it or not. I know Bungie wants to, but will Sony allow them to? Because it feels
I
like a foregone conclusion that Sony is taking control of that board once the summer is out.
Yeah, I also wonder what it looks like once their new CEO takes over, because I know Hiroki Totoki is only interim supposedly for now. But
I think he's going to take over as full.
I kind of feel that way too, just by the way he was talking at the financial
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
thing.
I wasn't sold on it until I heard him talking about like that they need to expand beyond the living room essentially.
Yeah,
Those specific I don't have the comments on hand, but he basically said we have to expand to other platforms, and everyone took that as, oh, they have to come to Xbox. No, like he's talking they got to go to PC, they got to go to the cloud, they got to get on smart TVs or something. Like
hmm
they got to do everything in their power to sell more software,
yeah,
to sell subscriptions. And like I don't think it's any big secret that PS Plus, when even if you do like the max version of it, pales in comparison to what Game Pass does.
yeah. I mean,
So just as my like 2 cents, I have both of them, and I'll tell you. And I mean, part of it's because I'm so plugged into the Xbox ecosystem, but you can't beat day one first party games.
no.
You literally can't beat
Especially
that.
especially with the lineup they're gonna have this year, right? I
I
mean,
get console Game Pass, I get PC Game Pass, I get cloud, and I get all my first party games day one. Like I get a ton of indies that debut on there. I don't get any of that with PS Plus.
yeah,
I'm gonna let it lapse when mine runs out in the beginning of June. I'm gonna let it lapse. I'm not gonna re-sign up.
yeah. I only have the essentials
I
version.
might get like the I might get essentials just so I can keep playing Helldivers, but that would be it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
So
I mean, kind of shifting away from the depressing news of it all. Um, there's some big wins we should celebrate in the industry too, though. We've had three incredible titles over the last month that I want to talk about real fast. Because I know a lot of our audience is playing at least two of these games. Uh, Helldivers 2 is easily the Q1 success story this year.
yeah. What you
Nobody,
mean?
and I mean
You mean
no one
nobody?
expected this.
Yeah, everybody was gonna go play Foam Stars. Remember?
No, I genuinely forgot that game came out until I was in the PlayStation store buying Rebirth yesterday morning to do the pre-download, and I was like, oh, Foam Stars came out. I
Yeah,
forgot about this.
and it's free on the thing.
And it's free on PS Plus. Yeah, not a single soul has talked about that game.
I know. That
Uh,
that was the joke.
Helldivers 2 is the example of like totally reinventing yourself for the sequel.
Yeah.
The original one was a top-down thumbstick shooter, which, cool, but like really worked best if you played it on the Vita. That's why the first one was such a cult classic.
Yeah.
And this one is totally different. They don't even attempt to tell you a story. It's just big, dumb, loud fun. Yuri Lowenthal is yelling in my ear. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I personally like it. I think it's really goofy. It reminds me. All of us have made this comparison. Starship Troopers is the best comparison to this game, I think.
You know what's funny? Did you know that Sony Pictures owns the rights to Starship Troopers?
Yes.
Like it kind of like I'm just like, man, I'm shocked they didn't just make a Starship Troopers game. Although,
I don't think the name would have sold.
yeah, no, but I mean, like, if it's the same concept and the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, not now, but I mean, at some point, But I mean, I really don't care. I don't care about Starship Troopers one way or the other. But Helldivers,
I like the original Star. I do like Starship Troopers 1 and 2. I do think they're good movies.
I'm really glad that Arrowhead has found success, and I you know what else I appreciate is how open they've been with the
their
server
CEO
stuff.
is the hero of the year as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I really appreciate his openness and being like, look, servers aren't working, just wait to buy it, please.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Seems legit.
Yeah, he very much has, head on his shoulders. They announced some upcoming content today, including a new faction to fight. Mech suits are coming to it, which really excites me. Vehicles are coming to it, really excites me. New stratagems, new weapons, laser weapon class. It just all sounds so fun. And that's cool because this is a game that I feel like I can play real hard for like a week or two with my friends, and then I can put down, walk away for a while, and come back to.
Mm-hmm.
The price point is phenomenal. $40. $40 for the game of Q1.
Yeah.
Um,
Another reason why I think it sold pretty well too, right, is like, but in kind of a budget price point, right? And it's
yeah,
exciting.
we've talked about you and I've talked about on every show I think under the sun that the eroding AA class of games, and
Mm-hmm.
this is a AAA game with a AA price.
Mm-hmm.
And like Sony has done this in the past before with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy and Miles Morales. We need more of this from them and from Microsoft, because I think Microsoft's really excelled at like the $20 and $30 games.
Yeah, I mean that's also something we've talked about a lot. Is like
Yeah.
Microsoft has kind of nailed this space. They're missing the AAA game. AAA
Yeah,
game.
and then you've got Nintendo, who is just like kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
They do a little bit of everything right.
Yep. And then
They
they're
just
like,
never put
oh,
things on sale.
here's 87 Kirby games to fill the spots until we
Oh
get
my
a Zelda
god,
game out.
you're not wrong. With Nintendo, our problem is we can't play anything that's not from this generation without paying $60 a pop.
Yeah.
I think that's just Helldivers is just such a fascinating case study, and it's no wonder that a lot of Destiny players have flocked to it. I think the other thing that also helps it is there's no PvP, so like a very toxic element of a lot of online games is just gone automatically. There's none of that. There's no dark zone style thing like in the Division. It's just team up with friends or with randos, shoot bugs, shoot robots, extract. Which is just goofy fun. I can't tell you how many times we've accidentally blown each other up, landed on each other. It's been a lot of fun. So, have you gotten to play any Helldivers yet, Corey?
I haven't played
You're in the
any.
middle of moving, so
So I haven't purchased any games this year except for Prince of Persia.
okay.
I'm trying. I mean, I've been waiting to move and waiting to see how our kind of new budget kind of pans out.
That's fair.
And plus like we're paying rent here and a mortgage for a couple months, so like that money is
Fair.
But I have been keeping up with stuff people are playing.
Spinny writes in with a question. Have you guys been playing Helldivers? And if so, how is it? And what's your favorite stratagem to use? I am a big fan of anything that involves the eagle or the orbital strikes. I really love that. I love the napalm strikes against the bugs because everything is just on fire for as far as the eye can see.
Hmm.
I love that. I like the 380 barrage. That thing is so hilariously inaccurate that I feel like I kill the team more than I kill the enemies. Um, I did just unlock the auto cannon sentry though, and let me tell you, that thing fucks. Cocoon, cocoon, cocoon. Oh, it's so fucking great. I love it. I like everything go boom. I like it. It's a big dumb loud video game. This is exactly what I needed for a couple weeks to just get me out of my I don't really feel like playing video games funk. The second game, big game that came to Game Pass day one. If y'all have listened to me in the last year and a half, you know where this is going. Persona 3 Reload.
I thought you were gonna say Turnip Boy robs a bank.
No, I am very excited for that. I did like Turnip Boy commits tax fraud, so I am excited for robbing a bank as Turnip Boy.
Uh,
It just man, it's the definitive version of one of the great early 2000s RPGs. Um, it's Yeah, it took a visual novel. It literally took a visual novel with a little bit of that had some just tedious exploration and like kind of so fighting mechanics, and basically Persona 5 did. It's great. It plays great. The cutscenes are great. I have never experienced the story of Persona 3 before. It's really emotional. It's really fucking dark. Um, and yet it almost is like the most hopeful story by the end. Um, really great cast of characters. I really fell in love with this cast and with this game. Um, it's hard to talk about it without like going into spoiler territory, but uh it's a grindy ass game too. That's probably like the only real knock against it is there was no way to simplify Tartarus. Um, in Persona 4, each of the dungeons is about 8 to 10 floors.
mhm.
In Persona 5, they're set layouts. They're no longer procedurally generated. Well, Tartarus continues to be procedurally generated here and is like 250 levels. And you start feeling it. There's no ability that lets you just dash through the enemies like in 5. It becomes a bit of a slog after a while. You're just like, oh my god, are we there yet? Is it over? You are time gated. You can do like 20-25 levels before you're stopped until the next major boss battle comes up. Um, but I think overall, like this is probably like the best way you could have modernized it. I am looking forward to some of the cut content coming as DLC that's been rumored for this year by a leaker who's literally never gotten anything wrong regarding Atlas and Sega stuff.
Mhm.
So looking forward to seeing if that happens. I'll be diving back in for New Game Plus when that does. But oh man, it's such a grindy fucking game. I don't know if I want to do New Game Plus right now. Uh, that's cool. Check that one out. But the big one, the big daddy, the big kahuna that I know a lot of us are checking out, especially this weekend. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is finally here. And Corey, I don't know how they made this game in 4 years.
Um, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I
I
have I have no idea.
I can probably say that they probably at some point were working on both games simultaneously. Uh, and especially like maybe some reused animations, and obviously they didn't have to recreate the characters. Although I've seen enough Tifa and Aerith in bikinis on my timeline to just not open Twitter for a while. uh,
It So remake is fairly linear. I'll say
mhm,
that. I think it's not linear, but it is like there's a little bit of open world exploration you can do, but ultimately just like not a ton, right?
mhm.
Um 16 kind of feels the same way. Oh, it's open world, but it's not. It's all zoned off. Rebirth Brother, I am 5 hours into this game, and it is like overwhelmingly big, and I'm just in the first zone.
Hmm.
This game is going to be a completionist nightmare. The battle animations are great. The difficulty feels like it's been upped this time around. There's so many combos, so many new moves. The new synergy moves are incredible. Um, right now I've just got the base party members that you have at the beginning of the game. We do know that they have said that by the end of this game, the party will be assembled. Not all of them will fight in this game, but the cast will be assembled finally.
Hmm.
Um, the game is told a little out of order from Final Fantasy VII's initial storyline, and that it makes sense why.
Hmm.
I have a lot of questions based off the opening scene alone. Um, I did not play the demo when it was made available a few weeks ago. I did not watch the state of play. I have literally watched approximately one trailer for this movie or for this game, and that was the debut trailer last summer at Summer Game Fest. I have stayed away from every single other piece of information about this game.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of ignored it just because never. So I never had a original PlayStation, right?
Yeah, same.
And so Final Fantasy VII wasn't on my radar. I had N64 and
Mm-hmm.
later a Dreamcast. So
Dreamcast, baby.
yeah. So when I got a PS2, I had always heard Final Fantasy was awesome, and I had never played Super Nintendo ones either because I never had a Super Nintendo until much later. So I bought 7, 8, 9. Well, I bought 9 and 10 first. So I played 9 and I played 10. And then I went back and played 8 because I found 8 at a GameStop, or I think it was a Babbage's at the time, for like $6.99. And I played through that and I was like, well, I should go get 7. And then by the time I got 7, I was so kind of burned out on JRPGs. And then also like should have probably played 7 first because you could clearly see, as much as 7 is beloved, the gameplay aspects of the other games have evolved past some of that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Which is funny because like 7 is like the foundational modern RPG.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
so many of our favorite series don't happen without 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. The cast, it's easy to see why the cast is beloved. Amongst all the Final Fantasy games, I think maybe only 10's really rivals it in terms of like common public perception. I know there's a lot of fans who love 8 and 9 also,
Mm-hmm.
and like their cast or specific characters from them, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Um, Cloud, Sephiroth, obviously iconic characters. Tifa, Aerith. I mean, like
I would argue almost all of them are iconic.
I would argue at least those
That
those
that
four. Vincent
yeah,
Valentine.
that's the like when you think of Sid from every Final Fantasy, that 7's probably the first one you think of, I would assume. At this point.
Until 16, yes.
Yeah.
16 Sid is the best in the whole series, just hands down. But I was telling Corey this before we started recording. Set the open world and the questing and the world building of Rebirth is what I so desperately wanted 16 to be.
Mm-hmm.
16 is awesome because Clive is such a great protagonist. Their relationship with Sid and with Gab and with Jill and Torgal, like those relationships are so good. But what really holds up 16 are the icon fights.
Mm-hmm.
This game is just on another level. Again, it is significantly more challenging, I think, than 16. It's definitely harder than Remake. It is if Remake was like a pseudo open world, this is a full open world.
Mm-hmm.
And it the loading is seamless. The fast travel is seamless. Like it is every bit as fast as the Spider-Man 2 fast travel is. It blew my mind. I set down my controller to check a text message when I fast traveled earlier, And like I no sooner had I literally took my hand off the controller, boom, I'm ready to go and I'm in the world. It is a technical feat unlike anything I have actually played before. It's the it's probably I'm gonna say this a lot this generation. It's the best looking game I've ever played.
Uh-huh.
And I know it's going to be topped in less than 3 months, but I don't know how you do all that on screen without a single frame drop.
Yeah.
Um, I had one pop in issue, and that was in the prologue.
Hmm.
So I can't wait to see what happens. This is I have heard from people who have put 100 hours into this game and are not done yet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
I think it
saw the
was
platinum trophy is about 150 to 200 hours at minimum.
yes.
Because you have to beat it on the hard mode that doesn't unlock until after.
Yeah, every Final Fantasy requires you to do this, I think, for the platinum, and it's just fucking absurd. Um, I want to say it was Imran Khan was talking about this on Twitter the other night. He said that he is 112 hours in. He's not done with the main quest. He's 112 hours in, and there are still enemies, optional bosses he is not able to beat yet,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. That is a wild statement to say. Just everything is so much more in depth this time around. It really feels like this game is like the meat and potatoes of the Final Fantasy remake trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if part 1 is like the first 25% of the game, which it is, this is the meat and the crux of the story. It does feel like part 3 will probably be a much shorter game. But I don't fucking know. This is the definitive. This is the I'm 6 hours in, and I feel like I can pretty confidently say this is the game to beat for Game of the Year already.
I wonder how much part 3 will change because I've heard like one or part 1 was, I mean, obviously it was different because they made a 40-hour game out of like a like an hour, couple hours worth of gameplay.
Right. I will say
Uh,
for all the changes Part One made, it didn't super deviate until the very end of the game. It deviates in like that last 15%.
hmm,
That's when it truly becomes oh shit territory. Rebirth is kind of like that from the very beginning.
yeah.
So I don't
I
know what is going to happen.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't care about spoilers for this game, but I've been wanting to play remake,
Yeah.
and now rebirth is like the hype is beyond whatever. So I've committed to the Final Fantasy journey, the Final Fantasy VII journey. I'm actually playing the original right now for the first time seriously on my Switch, and Crisis Core is loaded up on the Xbox at some point, and I want to see, I want context for what's different, right? Because like that
Yeah.
stuff obviously doesn't hit as hard if you don't know it. So
Yeah, and I
uh,
would say like I don't think like I didn't get like super emotional at the end of remake or anything, but I've heard that Rebirth takes some drastic makes some drastic choices. And it's very clear that they're wanting this to be something that runs alongside the original game and doesn't necessarily replace it like other remakes do.
yeah. Well,
Um
I mean, at this point, it's clearly not a remake. It's like a pseudo. It seems like it's like a pseudo sequel slash alternate timeline type thing.
and I mean like that's like kind of what you come to the truth of understanding at the end of remake.
Yeah,
Um
and I'm trying not to spoil myself past
yeah.
that. Uh,
Yeah, that's why I was like kind of dancing around it, but
yeah,
then you said it yourself.
yeah. I mean, there are things that I know already, but I'm trying to
Right.
avoid the rest of it, especially with Rebirth. Like remake, if it's just like the beginning of the trilogy and like you don't find that stuff out until really the end of it, then
Mhm.
sure, whatever. But like, now that Rebirth is out, I'm really trying to stay away from Rebirth spoilers
God,
and
Rebirth
beyond.
is it's so good. It's going to be so long that like I don't even know how I'm going to avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
Going by a piece of throwaway dialogue, in it, it kind of feels like there's going to be like 6 major areas to explore, and I'm in area 1, and it's just gigantic.
Yeah.
I do know a few things are out of order in the games. They specifically moved something that happens like in the first like 40% of 7. They specifically moved that to part 3 so that it made more sense in the context of the group's journey. Which I think is like really rad that you can do that, because like it was one of those things like, oh well, you can kind of do it in any order you want to. But so many of the iconic scenes that we think about from Final Fantasy VII will take place in this. You know, finding Vincent Valentine, the Gold Saucer Date, things like that will all happen in this game. So,
Yeah.
and that's not a spoiler. That's all been shown in the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, so we're gonna have some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth check-ins.
Yeah.
Over the next month, because Corey, I got to get through Rebirth because Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out next month. And I'm getting increasingly scared for any free time that I might have.
I'm going to say good luck, Josh.
I'm going to say that I'm not getting to Dragon's Dogma or Rise of the Ronin when they first come out. Thank God, seriously. The final shape was supposed to be out this week originally. Thank God it got delayed.
I know.
I do not know how I would have balanced the final shape with Rebirth.
I mean, even if the final shape was ready, I wonder if they would have moved it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rebirth is the video game event of the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Listen, I can be hyped about Persona and Dragon's Dogma and, you know, Like a Dragon and Prince of Persia all day long, but nothing anybody else is putting out even registers on Final Fantasy scale. Like, I think, like, and it's not even in the same category. It's just very big for a specific audience. Hellblade 2 is going to be massive, because that's like Xbox fans have been starved waiting for a game like that for so long. But like, I probably gotta like get close to fall. I don't even know if anything else this year will match the hype around Rebirth.
I doubt it. I mean,
it's got a 95 on Metacritic. That's one of the highest rated games of all time.
I mean, what would even come close? Like, what franchise would even come close to that at this point? A new Zelda game, like that would.
It would take a new 3D Mario. That is the only, and I mean, that's not even going to happen because they're clearly saving that for the next console. Metroid Prime 4, but that would be a critical darling. That certainly won't sell as well.
Yeah, I also don't know if the hype level for Metroid Prime 4 would be as high as Final Fantasy 7, just because Final Fantasy
7 is
so
beloved by the public.
Yeah.
Metroid is like kind of a niche franchise as far as Nintendo hits go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything else. There will be plenty of great games, and I mean, and realistically, there probably will be something better. But right now, this is the benchmark to clear in terms of quality, in terms of probably sales. Like, ignore Call of Duty and stuff. Like, this will be probably the best non-Call of Duty game of the year in terms of sales. So, I mean, Remake was like top 4 in a pandemic. So,
yeah. It's so funny because even like Xbox and Nintendo focused sites are talking about Final Fantasy VII.
It's just one of those things. Like, I don't think any other Final Fantasy game could draw this in either. It's just, this is.
I mean, this is Square's like Mario 64's Ocarina of Time. This is that level of, you know.
And I mean, they've been milking it for 20 years.
Well, yeah.
The part 3 is pretty clearly being set out to come out for the 20th anniversary in 2027.
30th anniversary.
Oh my God, that is the 30th anniversary. Jesus Christ, I'm so old. Oh, that's disgusting to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah. I am upset that I missed getting to see Advent Children in theaters a couple days ago. Very bummed out about that one.
Yeah.
But plenty of friends saw it and rubbed it in. All right, Corey.
All right, Josh. I will be checking in with my Final Fantasy VII journey as well, Josh. I know it's not as exciting.
Yeah, Corey and I are going to share 2 different ones. One from the 90s, one from today.
Yeah. So far, yeah.
It's blocky.
It's very polygonal. Also, like, I know this is very 2024 of me, but reading Barrett's dialogue and not hearing it is very hmm.
It's a tough look.
It sounds like a bunch of 40-year-old white dudes were translating Japanese to make a black character sound cool.
Well, what if I told you?
And some of the dialogue, I just want to say yikes a little bit. So that's it. That's all I want to say.
Let's jump into some Destiny.
Yeah.
This is a Destiny podcast after all. It's only been 40 something minutes. 45 minutes before we get to the TWAB.
Look, we have important things to talk about, Josh.
We do have important things to talk about because the TWAB this week is almost entirely Guardian Games, which is coming back on March 5th. Guardian Games All-Stars.
Ooh.
Obviously.
This is like the season of the TV show that is scraping the bottom of the barrel for
Oh, dude, this is like Survivor All-Stars 15 Borneo or something. I don't know. Introducing the Skimmer. I'm so excited for this. I'm never using a Sparrow ever again. I swear to God. Skimmers will live in the same slot as your Sparrow and can be used to do tricks, grind rails, or stylishly skim around, looking incredibly cool. They look like the Cloud Strider boards. Everybody is going to get one of these as part of the Guardian Games quest. So you got 3 weeks to do it and get the board. There will be another one in the Eververse that is modeled after a beloved fan favorite weapon. I have to assume it's Gallarhorn or Telesto. Those are the only two I can think of. It's got to be a Gallarhorn Sparrow, right?
But they already did that.
Skimmer, not Sparrow. Skimmer.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Maybe.
The new Skimmer is called the All-Star Vector and will be available to earn for everyone during Guardian Games All-Stars. Pick it up from Evil Levante after completing the onboarding mission quest. And if you want to keep it permanently after the event finishes, complete the drop-in quest and All-Star Vector will be yours to keep forever. I cannot wait. I am using this forever. This looks awesome. You know what else looks awesome? This armor looks legit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool looking.
This is great. I'm not like super high on the hunter side. I don't like the cloak, but I like the rest of it. Looks like I'm wearing like bulletproof vest. The Warlock set's pretty dope. That Titan set is sleek.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Corey, you're officially not allowed to complain about Titan armor.
I've complained about Titan armors for 9.5 years. We finally have gotten like 3 sets in a row.
You've gotten like 3 or 4 in a row. Now, granted, they're all in the Eververse, but you've gotten like 3 or 4 in a row that have just been incredible. Especially this season. You got awesome Witcher armor, you got the Commander Shepard armor, and now you got this. You've gotten 3 really good sets this season alone.
I know. Dude, I logged in the other day and I bought the Commander Shepard armor set and I was like,
it's your favorite armor on the Citadel?
Sure is.
Sure is, buddy. Sure is. I've had to explain that joke to my partner so many times. She's getting so mad anytime that I pull up Destiny and I have the Normandy on. I'm like, this is my favorite ship in the Citadel. And she's like, God damn you. Like, just stop. Just stop. I'm like, well, don't listen to me and Corey or me and John talk because it's all Mass Effect puns these days. All right. The goal of Guardian Games All-Stars is simple. Your class must win the majority of days during the 3-week-long event, and that can only be done by depositing a ton of medallions. Evil Levante will have a great variety of contender cards to choose from, divided between Gold, Platinum, and Diamond, which is a new tier implemented for this year. The Diamond medallions awarded by these are worth a lot and can change the course of the day, so they're limited to 3 a week. 2 of them are focused on endgame activities, one for PvE and one for PvP, and the third is kind of unique. It's a Twitch drop from watching a Destiny 2 stream for 2 hours during that week. Kind of nauseated by that last sentence. I don't like that they're tying this to Twitch drops, but I do understand it is them trying to help out content creators who, I don't know if anybody has seen some of the meltdowns that these folks are having, but some of them are very clearly having a very hard time coming to grips with the fact that streaming Destiny 2 cannot be the only game you stream anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's been that way for a while, right?
It's been like that for a while, and I think like if you change up your content a little bit, you know that a lot of content creators that I like started making the change, a year or 2 ago. Some that I don't particularly care for, including a certain Trials streamer. Have not taken this very well, and they have found that there is money in being negative, and now they're finding there's not even money in being negative anymore because they're just whiny bitches. So I really hope content creators I like are playing this. Fingers crossed, because I actually don't mind showing up and supporting for something cool like that. Um,
Man,
all medallions banked in a tower will be counted daily, and the crest of the daily winning class inserted in the tower podium, blah, blah, blah. In past Guardian games, we measure class performance based on total medallion score. Population imbalance has always been a hot issue with this scoring method. We've always weighed these in the spirit of fairness. This year, we're taking a different approach, though. Each day, class scores will be measured by the average medallion score of all players who have deposited a medallion that day, separated by class, of course. Our hope is that this will make your contributions feel more meaningful, and the overall competition is less dependent on hard to understand population weighting or catch up mechanics. Depending on your contributions to Guardian games, you also earn glows and bragging rights. These are linked to your personal and group achievements, and we have 5 in total. One for being the best in Tower Guardian, another for being a member of the winning class of the day. Shoulder glow, linked to your performance weekly in the Nightfall playlist. Second shoulder for weekly performance in Supremacy and Gambit. And bronze, silver, or gold glow with the shape of a laurel crown in the Friday coronation ceremony, depending on your class's place. At the end of the event, the class that wins the most days will be crowned winner, and their class item will change to gold until the next event to remind everyone of their victory. Not only that, but for the whole year, members of the winning class can also trigger some fancy fireworks in the tower if they interact with the All-Star statue. The second and third place classes will see their class items change to silver and bronze and can still enjoy them fireworks when the winning class triggers them. All right. But you guys have questions, I'm sure, about quests, activities, matchmaking, and rewards. So, oh boy, 2 weekly quests are going to be in this for the special playlist. The first is called Shoot to Score. It involves Zavala, who will ask you to get medals and points by diving into Nightfalls. The recreation playlist is chill and good for practicing strategies, while the competitive list is for serious business to earn scores and be ranked among the best of the best. The second quest is vying for supremacy and will pit Guardian against Guardian in Crucible or Gambit to earn high scores. Getting high scores in both playlists will unlock up to 4 chests for each of the quests. These chests reward you with gear and materials depending on the tier you reach, from bronze to platinum, and buff your Guardian so you can shatter your own high scores with ease. And no matter which activity you choose, you'll be able to matchmake. Nightfalls can be played with standard or class-based matchmaking, or without matchmaking at all. Supremacy will have mixed or same class matchmaking, and for Gambit, the only choice is to go class v class. The Drifter demands it. I love this. This is what we need in Guardian games. You're actually fighting other Guardians. You're teaming up with your class. It makes it really annoying for a couple weeks in PvP. I love that they're doing this in Gambit. I think that's going to be funny as hell to see.
yeah,
That means I also probably won't be playing too much Gambit, but I think it's really funny to see this. I'm a fan. I'm a fan, and I like this.
yeah, this is cool.
I hope that the chests are not bugged like they were last year. Last year, it kind of sucked the fun out of me. I was unable to get, despite having the score, to get my gold and platinum chests for 2 of the 3 weeks. It was really, really agitating, and it made me not want to participate. So I hope that's fixed for this year. That's not all. This year, we're also getting focus activities. Every few hours, one of the playlists. Remember, Nightfall, Supremacy, or Gambit will be the focused activity. They'll be live for 2 hours from Monday to Thursday and for 3 hours Friday to Sunday. And they are a new great way to get medallions and other rewards. Playing a focus activity unlocks up to 3 tiers of reward packages that go from bronze to gold with better prizes for each tier. Then there's the Champions package that will go to the class that dominates the focus activity by earning the highest scores. The Champions package will fill the medallion case, not including diamond medallions, because those are unique to their contender cards. Don't worry if your class doesn't win one focus activity. There are several chances to do so, and the director will show you exactly when they start so no one misses it. Great. That's been one of our biggest complaints about some of these world activities, is they don't tell us when they're happening.
Right.
Vex Strike Force, anybody? We have a bot in the Discord just for this thing because it's been so annoying. And then, of course, there's a new weapon and a new memento. I love this. It's a heavy arc grenade launcher called the Hullabaloo. This arc compressed wave frame heavy grenade launcher couldn't have arrived at a better moment. This archetype will get an increase in damage the moment Guardian Games drops, and it also has unique perks like Volt Shot and Chain Reaction.
Mm,
I'm very excited to use this all of a sudden. I cannot wait for
sounds
this.
fun.
The two previous Guardian Games weapons will also have new perk pools this year. Taxapros, which was the Strand Scout rifle last year, will drop with new perks like Slice and Precision Instrument, while the Title, which was our Void Aggressive SMG, has new perks but also allows for a very exciting combo if you enjoy Void builds. Repulsor Brace and Surrounded. And on top of these rewards, there's a Guardian Games memento. This memento looks really dope. It is because the black memento was so lazy. Just give it to us as a shader. This and the Dawning mementos are awesome. I like how these look. You have
Yeah.
a chance to earn this special customization item when banking gold and platinum medallions, but if you really want one, you can focus on getting those diamond medallions, which guarantees mementos. Once you have a Guardian Games memento in your inventory, Eva will store your extra ones until the end of the event. Just don't forget to use them before she leaves. They got to fix this. They got to let us carry more than one memento. Even if it's just like up to 3, you got to let us carry more. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this seems probably should do that.
The champ title is back, of course. And oh god, the event card is back too. I'm ignoring this. We don't know what's going on there, and I don't think I want to know. The Guardian Games Cup is back,
Ooh.
which is of course something through the Bungie Foundation, Sport Direct Relief, and the International Rescue Committee. You will need a fire team of up to 6 members to participate in one or both of the available categories. The technical category tracks the total number of medallions dunked by each official registered team during Guardian Games. The charitable category tracks the total donation amount raised by each team throughout the event. The top 4 teams in each category have prizes. The first place teams in each category will win a life-size physical all-star vector skimmer replica with the team's names engraved. That's really fucking cool. Top 2 teams in each category will win a Guardian Games medal for each team member. The top 3 teams in each category will win binary cascade emblem codes, and the top 4 teams will win Bungie store $50 discount codes. As an extra incentive, all players that donate $10 or more to their favorite team will earn the brand new Together in Contribution emblem, and every $10 donated will net you an additional emblem. This is a cool emblem. I don't like a lot of the event emblems. I think this one looks really cool. I like how it's like really faded and like sketched out, almost in like Crayola colors. So I think that's kind of cool. There is a Guardian Games Cup blog if you are interested in signing up for this. I'm not gonna read through this, but if you're interested, it's all there. It gives you all the information you need for it. Um, and as Corey so expertly talked about last week, March 5th, a lot of changes coming to the game. A lot of changes
Yeah.
within the PvP challenge. PvP changes are going live. Over the last couple of weeks, we talked about weapon rewards. We talked about weapon and ability sandbox updates. We talked about the changes to prophecy last week and all of the Crucible changes. All of that is coming.
How do you so you weren't here last week, but how do you feel overall about the PvP changes?
Well, I'm glad you asked me because I was going to get to that after the TWAB, but we'll go ahead and do it now. Um, I'm of a few different minds. I think there are some changes that are just incredible. I
Mhm.
think specifically the change to rewards is very good.
Yeah.
Making artifice armor available in comp is a no-brainer. That is
Yep.
also, I think, an easier grind for a lot of folks to go
Yep.
in and do that.
Mhm.
Love seeing that. That is something that should have been a no-brainer. I think the trials changes are fantastic. The um, the new passage of persistence is the big highlight for me here, which allows you to basically just, if you lose, like you can just keep pushing, and once you accumulate 7 wins, you will get a flawless drop no matter what. I think that is very, very, very important. um I like that you still have to work your ass off to get it.
Mhm.
I understand why some hardcore PvP fans are not a fan of this. This is not hurting anybody. You can still only get 1 drop like that per week. I don't think there is anything wrong with this.
Mm-mm.
Big fan though, really really like it. I'm excited to play around with this passage when it goes live. So I'm sure a lot of people will be in trials next weekend trying
I'm
this out.
sure.
7 wins guarantees you a weekly adept weapon regardless of how many losses you have. And then I also like the match completions by 3-person fire teams change. I like that. Additional 50% chance to drop the non-adept trials weekly weapon reward, 50% chance to get an Ingram drop, and additional trials rep. I like that. And the goal is, obviously they want you to play in 3 stacks. I like that. That way, even if you're not winning, you're still racking up the rewards.
Yeah.
So I like that. It makes it makes me feel like my time is more valued. That's always been my biggest problem with trials. I don't mind that it's a sweat fest. I'm not a big fan of it, but I understand why it is. But everybody is getting rewards for their time now, which is important. I think that was something that trials has always failed at, is respecting the time investment of its players.
Yeah.
Sparrow control, I think, is kind of wacky. 3VT Clash is in the quick play rotator. Fine with that. King of the Hill is here. King of the Hill could be interesting. I can't believe it took us 10 years to get King of the Hill in Destiny, but okay.
Here it is.
I'm interested to see how that goes. I like the changes to Iron Banner Tribute. But the new modifier hardware, this is absolutely my favorite change. This is 100% my favorite change. No abilities, only weapons. You only get special and heavy from crates located around the map.
Yes.
I love this.
This
This
is
is what
cool.
I had hoped Checkmate would be originally. Checkmate obviously was not this. This is a mode for double primary people like me. I'm very excited for this.
This is cool. This was a great. I got really excited when
that honestly, that and the trials changes are my highlights. I love those. I think that hardware is going to be really fun. Again, I can't believe it took us 10 years to get to this point. So I like that. I'm having to refresh my mind on some of this. Forgot there's a lot of matchmaking changes. I like that they gave you a lot of breakdowns of the matchmaking, changes of outlier protection and all that, fire team based matchmaking. Like, there's just so much. If you haven't read all of this, I really, really, really encourage you to go and read all of this. If you've ever wondered about matchmaking, this might be like the biggest peek behind a curtain we've ever gotten in an FPS.
Yeah.
As to it. Other than that, I really don't have anything else that I want to focus on. Controller dead zone settings is a pretty big deal. The prophecy refresh is the other thing I really wanted to point out. This is really dope. If you're listening to this episode right as it goes live, you've got like 3 or 4 more days to earn the old prophecy loot. On Tuesday, these changes go live though, and prosecutor, which is the auto rifle, the agitator, submachine gun, and the relentless pulse rifle are all getting new origin traits and are getting new damage types. Arc, kinetic, and strand, respectfully. And then they're updating a few weapons also that are still in the pool: the Judgment Hand Cannon, Darkest 4 Pulse, and Sudden Death Shotgun. I love Darkest Before. That is an arc pulse that is changing to solar now. Judgment is changing from kinetic to stasis, and Sudden Death is changing from arc to void. I think this is how you update a loot pool well.
Yeah.
Is you change the damage types up. You not just change the perks, you change the damage types up, because
which is cool.
Now we have so many specific damage perks that are related to the elements that you can easily reinvigorate some life into these weapons by doing that.
Yeah.
There's new encounter drops. So I'll be farming the Kel Echo. I'll put it that way, because that is the only one that Darkest Before drops from. So I need to farm the boss, because Darkest Before Took that in on my day one run, and it was oh boy, it was real nice with all those arc shields. So now I want a solar one naturally. But yeah, I don't. I think they were fine. I don't understand why there were some folks who were. I mean, of course, I understand why folks were mad, but it's. I think it's just really silly. Like a lot of the complaints that we see these days, I just think it was ridiculous. These are good changes. Like these are changes meant to not only satiate the PvP community, but also to get more folks who don't like playing PvP back and invested again. Which we all know Bungie has really struggled with historically. Like, okay, PvE is kind of fixed, and we're about to come out with Final Shape. All right, this is the strike team. Like, this is stuff we've been asking for years in a lot of cases,
Yeah.
and they're finally getting it. And I think it's probably way too late, but we're getting it now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad these changes are being implemented. I mean, it might breathe a little life into this delay. I mean,
yeah,
might
that's the
is
other
the
thing
key
is
word.
like, and I feel like a lot of us are playing things like Helldivers to tide the time over, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm still looking forward to seeing what Into the Light is ultimately going to be. I suspect we'll get some details on that once Guardian Games wraps, because that's
Yeah.
3 weeks. That puts us about a week away from the end of March. And Into the Light, we all think is dropping that first Tuesday in April. So I would say that they gotta let us know here in the next couple of weeks, and that ought to be real interesting. See if this is gonna get out of hand or not. How are we gonna feel, or are we gonna take another 2 months off, basically?
Yeah. Let's hope not, I guess. Um
Let us hope not.
Man, I've taken so much time off of Destiny recently.
I have to.
I feel like I'm gonna log in and be like,
You're gonna be chastised by Bungie personally.
yeah, or like I'm just gonna be the Robin Williams meme. What year is this? So yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm so lost sometimes. I feel lost when I'm playing it though, too. To be fair, so I guess. Anyways,
Yeah. Let's shift gears. Let's go into questions.
questions.
Let's hit questions. It's I know we didn't do a lot of Destiny talking tonight. This is the first week in like 4 or 5 weeks where we haven't had a ton of Destiny news, and it's kind of a relief, I think, for both of us to like get back into the swing of things. Of course, we'll talk Guardian games next week, and I want to start getting into some lore about Tyrannus, and maybe the Ahamkara hunts. Let's get some thought provoking questions from our community. Tiger Jesus writes in with the hard hitting question right away: will we ever see Destiny on a Nintendo console?
Hmm. Hmm.
All right.
Um, how do we want to say this? Um, how many ways do you know how to say no, Josh?
So I debated if I was going to say no, fuck no, or if I was going to laugh.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to say no, and it's not for the reasons you might think. Um, well, it is if you know anything about Nintendo's online history. Um, if Nintendo would just get with the program and have modern online interfaces,
Mm-hmm.
it could be possible. But also, the Switch would have to be so much more powerful than it currently is.
Well, I mean, clearly Destiny wouldn't come to the Switch. It would come to the next console. But
Well, that's
also,
what I'm
well,
talking. Even that
how
though, like
much?
the
Also, like, not to sound pessimistic, but like, how relevant will Destiny be by then? I
I
mean,
think that's a question worth asking. But also, like, and again, I don't want to sound rude here. When you port things to other consoles, it's to grow your reach and grow your audience. How
mhm.
many people that own a Switch only are going to want to play Destiny?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you
I
that
mean,
number is so tiny, it's not worth it.
well, also though, like I feel like Nintendo players especially, like, have been trained not to care about online stuff. Like,
Yep.
the first
Yep.
game in years that people cared about online was Splatoon, and Splatoon 2 and 3 were both servers were garbage at launch. So,
I mean, they were garbage. Smash Brothers servers were
oh
garbage at
god, playing
launch.
this,
Like,
have you ever played a multiplayer slideshow? You might as well play a turn-based RPG. Seriously. Like,
like so Nintendo's archaic online practices are definitely part of the issue here. The other issue I would say is just like it's not powerful enough to handle it. Like I'm sorry, it's just not like the Switch 2 is reported to be on par or slightly better than the PS4 Pro,
mhm,
which to be clear, for a handheld that is probably going to be priced around $400 is incredible.
mhm.
But
Yeah,
if you want portable Destiny at this point, go buy a ROG Ally. Go
mhm.
buy a Legion Go.
Yeah. ROG Allies are on sale, by the way, right now at Best Buy. The
They are,
Extreme, the Z1
and
Extremes.
someone with the inside track has told me that that's because Asus is probably prepping to launch the Mark II
Yeah.
of
That's
the
cool.
Ally, which would make sense. But yes, all I'm saying is like it runs great on something like that. I just I see how Destiny runs on my Series X sometimes, and how it was running on the Xbox One
Hmm.
3.5 years ago when I upgraded to the Series X on day one. I saw how it was running during Beyond Light. I It will run just as bad as it did there. And
Mhm.
I do not want that in a handheld experience. I've had that. I've played Destiny on my phone before. I don't really want to go back down that path again, if you want me to be honest with you.
I remote played Destiny on my Vita for a while.
I have also experienced that. Also not a great experience.
No.
And that
No.
was right there in my own house. I think the closest you're going to get is if you play on PS5 and you get a PlayStation Portal.
Mhm.
I have heard mixed things. If you don't have a lot of interference between where your console is and the PlayStation Portal, it actually doesn't run that horribly for
Yeah.
Destiny. Um, Destiny in
Also,
particular, having to be an always online game is a little trickier.
yeah, also
Um,
I mean, also it works way better if your PlayStation is hardwired
yep,
or whatever
yep.
console you're playing on, I guess. Well, Portal you have to play on PlayStation, I guess. But
Yeah, no. You got it right. You nailed it. Like a remote play always will work better if the console is hardwired,
mhm.
because then that's only one wireless connection you're trying to balance instead of two.
Which is
Um,
incredible for me, by the way, because my new router at my new house, it is literally in my entertainment center. And it has 5 ports to plug stuff in. I'm so excited.
yeah. So I don't want to be a pessimist about this, but I don't see it ever coming to a
Yeah.
Nintendo would have
Well,
to like just shock the world and put out something that is the equivalent of like the Steam Deck in
yeah.
terms of power in order for me to even remotely think it could happen.
Yeah,
If they do that, I've got a lot of other priorities besides playing Destiny 2 on it then.
yeah, as someone who runs a Nintendo podcast, this question used to come up quite frequently
Yep. Yep.
early on, and yeah, it's not something we talk about anymore. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I came up for a couple of years there. I would say the early days of D2 is when it was coming up the most.
Yeah. And then like the when we stopped talking about it, Luke Smith gave an interview and said it probably would never come to Switch because of their online capabilities specifically. So,
Yeah, it's why I mean, not even that, but like there's a reason why a lot of third-party games don't come to the Switch, let's be honest.
yeah.
You're not buying a Switch to play third-party games. Like if you really care about playing something like, I know Control runs fine through the cloud. If you really care about playing Control, you're going to go play it on a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Yeah.
You know, we Corey and I each know one person who will defend third-party ports to the absolute death
Mm.
on the Switch. And I just don't have the heart to tell him anymore that, buddy, you're fighting a losing fight here.
Yeah.
So,
It's a frequent argument as well.
um, Next question. Jiggly Panda's got a couple questions here. I think about
Ooh.
this recently, but do you think content creators have made the Destiny community worse? And do you think they blow things way out of proportion? So, as a content creator in the Destiny community, I don't think all of us have made it worse.
I think we've made it quite better.
I would assume that by content creators, I'm going to take this to mean that you mean streamers and like YouTubers.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if they've necessarily made it worse. I think any online game is going to bring this. I mean, we had the same discussions about World of Warcraft in like 2008. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, oh, you know, they're ruining this. You know, like the early days of Halo content creators. Oh, they hate everything, and you know they've hated everything since Halo Reach. You know,
Yeah.
the most negative people are always the loudest. And that's because the internet is an inherently negative place, and social media especially is these days. There's money in being negative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I can't tell you how many people I saw, like, this is not a Destiny thing, but like how many people I saw make complete heel turns when a specific Star Wars movie came out in 2017. How many people I know personally who made just this insane heel turn into being as negative as humanly possible because they realized that they would make money on YouTube doing that. And I do think there are some voices in this community. I don't want to name names because you guys know who they are, who all they do is complain. They don't have anything positive to say. They complain about everything. They are angry about everything. It's just my
I
advice is the same. It's always been go play something else.
I would argue too, though. I mean, well, not argue, I guess. I guess the point I would make is social media in general has made a lot of communities make and I'm not saying that streamers or YouTubers aren't the problem either, right? But it also the negativity from the communities also start spreading through social media and that kind of thing. Um, and also, Destiny's not the only community that happens in, right? I mean, we as Xbox community people, Josh, we see that all the time. So,
Yeah, I just think that like I would say instead of like content creators, I think just social media in general has been really bad for like not for Destiny, but for like gaming and like pop culture in general. It's been really bad.
yep.
That would be how I would probably phrase that. And like, yeah, I mean, the thing about social media is everyone gets a voice, but everyone also like tweets or posts their gut reaction right away without waiting for context. Like, how many times have we seen it in this community? We see it like every time a Schwab is posted. We see it, and then 2 weeks later, when the changes actually go in, they're like, "Oh shit, these are actually really good changes." Like, yeah, maybe y'all should have like stopped melting down right away.
Yeah.
I want to get. I'm gonna do these out of order. Jiggly Panda asks us next. Do you think a Destiny movie or TV show is even in the picture anymore? Aside from The Last of Us, every other video game adaptation has flopped, and I would love y'all's opinions. First of all, I will not have any slander on our Lord and Savior Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's true. That movie was way better than it had any right to be.
Sonic and Sonic 2 are both incredible. I think Detective Pikachu is solid.
Mm-hmm.
I personally did not care for the Mario Brothers movie, but I know a lot of people really loved it, and it is
Same.
pretty faithful to the Mario universe.
Same. I know I'm a fan of terrible movies, Josh, but I actually kind of liked the Uncharted movie.
The Uncharted movie is fine. It's not like abysmal. It's not great.
Oh, it's not
It's
amazing,
not
but
Doom or
I had
Resident
fun
Evil
watching
levels
it.
of bad.
Yeah.
I will also say, I think Twisted Metal is better than anyone gives it
Oh
credit
my
for.
god, dude, Twisted Metal was awesome. If
Twisted
you
Metal's
want to
fucking
watch,
hilarious.
even if you're not a fan of the games, watch Twisted
Yes.
Metal. Watch Twisted Metal.
So I wouldn't say, and also, like, we cannot get out of this conversation without shouting out Castlevania.
I haven't watched Castlevania, so
The Castlevania anime is incredible, absolutely incredible. It retells the story of, I believe, Castlevania 3, 4, Symphony of the Night. I think that's what it covers.
yeah.
Kind of an amalgamation of all three.
Yeah.
Very, very, very well done though. I really enjoyed it. Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Edge Runners is incredible. I think that it's funny. Like I think historically, you hit the nail on the head. That like historically they've been bad, but I think the last couple years we've seen an uptick in them being good.
Yeah. We've definitely seen a turn, right?
So I am in a wait and see mode to see if we get anything better. As for a Destiny show and a Destiny movie, I don't think it's ever happening.
No. No.
And I don't think it ever was going to happen. I hate to burst your bubble for everyone who wanted to see live action Guardians. It's never happening.
Yeah. Go back to your Taken King commercial.
Go back to your Taken King commercials, your Destiny 2 launch commercials for the hashtag for the puppies.
For the puppies.
I still think that the Destiny anime is on the table, but it's all really going to depend on the franchise popularity post Final Shape.
Yeah.
I think those plans are 100%. Oh, also, while we're talking about good video game adaptations, Arcane. Anybody? Arcane was incredible.
That's the League
The
of
League of
Legends
Legends
one,
show.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Incredible. Absolutely phenomenal.
I also hear Halo Season 2 is pretty good.
I hear Halo Season 2 is a big improvement over the first season. It deals with the Fall of Reach. And then Sony's got a couple shows that I'm pretty interested in. They're working on God of War. They're working on the Horizon prequel. They're doing they're doing Gravity Rush, which I'm thrilled. It probably won't be good, but I'm thrilled.
It has real Alita Battle Angel / Ghost in the Shell vibes to it, in my opinion. Like the way that is probably going to look once it's finished. Has that
Yeah.
weird filter on it that
It
is like.
may or may not be good. There was one
Also,
other one I was gonna.
don't forget, Netflix is doing a Tomb Raider anime with Haley Atwell starring as Lara Croft.
They are, and Crystal Dynamics is involved, which gives me some hope on it. Um,
Not if Embracer
Paramount
First
Plus
comes
is
out.
putting out the Knuckles show in a few weeks.
It's true.
I'm here for that. I'm absolutely here for that. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 comes out at Christmas this year.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I think that it's funny. I think that like we're at a point where we have to stop saying that like adaptations suck and like damn adaptations have actually like secretly gotten like pretty tolerable.
Mm-hmm. Isn't Hayden Christensen voicing Shadow? Isn't that the big rumor going
That's
on?
the big rumor. We don't know if he actually is. But that was a big rumor going around.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have a food question here. Also, have you guys tried Raising Cane's? If so, what are y'all's thoughts on it? Where I live, I find it's one of the best chicken places on earth. So, Corey, first, I'm going to let you answer this. Have you had Raising Cane's?
I have not, but there are a couple close to me. But as
Okay.
someone who grew up on Chick-fil-A, I don't know about Raising Cane's, man. I don't know.
So, if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have been like, this is incredible. This is so good. The quality used to be. I'm going to be one of those old people. The quality was so good like 10 to 12 years ago because they had just started opening up in North Texas. They they were a franchise that was like in Louisiana and like South Texas, and then they came up to Dallas, and it seemed like after they hit Dallas, they just blew up everywhere. It's funny as I see friends who like live across the country start tweeting like, "Oh my god, we got Raising Cane's," and it's like, damn, that's how I felt when we got In and Out like 15 years ago. It's fine, but I think the quality has gone like the quality you're getting now is not the quality it used to be. I'll say that. I think it used to be way better personally. Now I find that like whenever I go there, the chicken's like too crunchy and like not enough chicken in it. It's like too breaded and too crunchy. If I'm gonna go get chicken strips down here in Texas, like in the South, I'm going to Chicken Express and getting chicken strips. However, I will ride and die all day for cane sauce. That is, aside from Arby's sauce, that is probably the best fast food condiment out there.
Mm.
Oh, Whataburger ketchup also fucks.
Mm. I ha-
But
I have to say
cane sauce is so good.
I am a fan of Arby's. Let me tell you.
I like Arby's. I do like Arby's a lot. I like to get, you know what I like to do, Corey, because Chelsea likes Raising Canes. I go there, I order extra sauces, and then I go get Chick-fil-A, and I put the Raising Cane sauce on my spicy chicken sandwich,
Hmm.
or I dump my nuggets in there.
Hmm. Seems
It's
like a
delicious.
that seems like a lot of work, though. I
You
mean,
know, it is, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
hmm, hmm,
I also find like just chicken strips aren't as good as chicken nuggets.
no. Che- somewhere in my lifetime, that happened where I prefer chicken nuggets over chicken strips. I don't know when that
Yeah,
happened.
you want to know when it was for me? It was when they accidentally gave me chicken strips at Chick-fil-A once. I took a bite into the chicken strip and it tasted and smelled differently than a nugget or a sandwich did, and I said absolutely not, never again.
Yeah, I think it
It
for
had a weird taste to it. Every time I've had chicken strips from somewhere, I just have, if they offer chicken strips and nuggets, with I will say with the notable exception of Whataburger. Whataburger is the only place, and they only just started serving the Whata chicken bites. The chicken strips at Whataburger are they're passable because you get the gravy with it.
hmm,
I
hmm,
do like gravy, but if I get the option between nuggets or strips, I'm going nuggets every time.
hmm.
Every single time. McDonald's used to serve chicken strips, the chicken nuggets were better. Wendy's went through a period where they had some chicken strips, the nuggets are better, obviously. And if you can get spicy nugs, it's even better.
Mm, mm.
Um
Big fan of Dino Nuggets in this house.
oh dude, listen, we love Dino Nuggies, okay. You got to make the mashed potato volcano too with it. It's just
Mm.
it's phenomenal. Cade 6 writes in with the refresh of the prophecy weapons. What would you like to see get the refreshed weapons next? I I gotta say the only option here is Garden of Salvation
Yeah,
because
that
at this
seems like
point
a
it's Garden or it's Vault
yeah, and you're not.
basically,
I don't think you're
and
going to do Vault.
I Garden has had kind of like somewhat shitty weapons since day one. Well, it was kind of in that same area as Last Wish. Like the weapons looked cool, but they weren't good.
Yeah, yeah.
Except in some very niche cases, some PvP cases, they were okay. I think Sacred Providence was one that was. I think that's the Pulse that was pretty good there for a while in PvP. Obviously, we've gotten other options since. Um, the whole reason to go to Garden was always to get Divinity because you had to do the side quests and then finish it.
Hmm.
You didn't have to like sit there and grind and have RNG repeatedly to try and get Divinity,
Right.
which was cool. So Garden of Salvation's the layup answer here for me.
Yeah. I mean, I that seems like a pretty. I would agree with that answer.
And what do you think has had the best loot throughout the dungeons or raids in Destiny? I'm gonna give you two answers. I'm gonna give you a dungeon and I'll give you a raid. Um, for dungeon, it's funny for dungeon. I probably would have said prophecy. I really like the prophecy loot. Although I do acknowledge it's definitely needed a change for a while.
Hmm.
Um, I think that somewhere along the way, duality probably became the best loot pool. Um,
I would have picked Duality, specifically for what the pulse rifle, right? That's the thing that we all wanted.
no, we want the linear fusion. That was the triple burst linear.
Oh, right. Right.
That was Storm Chasers, the first triple shot linear, and then we had the stasis breach loaded grenade launcher in it also.
Yeah.
Um, there was some good shit in there. You could also get the Epicurean and the fixed odds
Fixed odds was.
LMG. You get those from Season of Opulence in
Mhm.
there. Just great loot pool. I still think it's good today.
I mean, I
Um,
only played it for that cool Haka armor.
in terms of the raids, man, I think reprised Crota is really hard to argue with.
Hmm.
Reprised Crota is a really good loot pool. I think every weapon is genuinely worth getting out of it. I kind of feel the same way about King's Fall, though. I think both of those. I think those two reprised raids are just head and shoulders above Vogue's loot pool. Not and then Vogue's isn't even all that bad, honestly.
Yeah,
I
I
just think
mean,
it's definitely fallen behind.
I was still, I was kind of disappointed with Vogs, to be honest. Vision of Confluence was not the. It definitely was not the same.
If you got it with rewind rounds, it was pretty wild.
I did not. I got
Okay.
I did not get that role. No.
I personally really enjoyed it with rewind rounds. I think there's definitely better options, but I still liked it. I liked Found Verdict. I will say that for me right now, currently in the game, I think that it's Crota. Um, but man, the raids have been kind of banging for a while in terms of the loot. The loot in Vow of the Disciple was really really good. There's a
Yeah,
Forbearance is still super meta weapon for PVE.
that
For
loot was
high end PVE content, Forbearance is still incredible. Um, I still really like Insidious out of that one. I like Submission as far as a kinetic SMG goes.
mhm.
Um, we all know that I like the Deepstone Crypt a lot.
I
I
Yep.
think Trustee is good. I think
I was gonna
Commemoration is good.
Yep, I was gonna bring up Deep Stone.
Um, I would say, I mean, God, Ron is really good too. Like, I mean, Rufus's Fury is, by my opinion, still the best primary in the game. Especially once you craft that bad boy, I still think it's a top tier AR. I really like that. I can't talk about the fucking trace because I still haven't gotten it. Been a full year, still haven't gotten the trace to drop. Still a little upset about it, frankly. Um, I really needed to grind it when it was. I really needed to grind that raid out, but I think every weapon in Ron is worth getting. Except for except for the fucking I forgot about the heavy grenade launcher. Um, but I think that the linear in that one, especially because if you're going to run two weapons from that, the perk is so good, giving you the extra damage, giving you the extra damage boost is just chef's kiss. Briar's Contempt and Rufus make a hell of a duo. I like Nessa's Oblivion out of it. Conditional Finality is one of the better raid exotics we've gotten in a long time. I think that's really cool. Yeah, God, man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Crota, but you're gonna get for Crota for the reprised and probably overall. But man, Ron and Val are both really good loot pools.
I would yeah, I mean, I don't really remember the last time a raid really missed, you know. I mean,
Um,
I mean, like, you may prefer one raid's weapons over the others in some situations, but like, there's probably at least one or two things that really are pretty good in a lot of them recently. Uh so
yeah. I would say the last time that like we kind of felt a little underwhelmed by like a loot pool was like maybe Vogue.
yeah.
And I think Vogue was just like it was fine. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't great,
Yeah.
but it wasn't bad.
I
Deepstone had several weapons that were meta for a while and are still really, really good.
let me
Deepstone still has four, I would say, must-have weapons.
Yeah, let me tell you my opinion of Vogue real quick. I
Hit me.
think we were all excited when obviously when Vogue was announced to come back, because it was a lot of people's first raids. There's a lot of nostalgia for that raid. There's a lot of nostalgia for those weapons, right? Fatebringer specifically, I think of, and like you go in, and I think it's a mix of maybe those weapons didn't feel as good as you wanted them to or they used to, mixed with there are a lot of better weapons in Destiny now already that, like,
Yeah.
maybe that's why it didn't hit. Also, the Vex Mythoclast kind of debacle probably doesn't sit well with a lot of people either. You know,
Um. Yeah. I don't know because it's like the weapons that hit from Vogue really hit. Fatebringer was an absolute monster. Still is. But I don't know. I just feel like there's better stuff out there,
Yeah.
and it's not on the level of needing a like we said, it's not on the level of like needing a refresh like Last Wish did or like Garden of Salvation does, but it's probably a bottom two loot pool in my opinion.
Hmm.
But I think that also speaks to the quality of like the raid pools right now, that's a bottom two loot pool.
Yeah.
That used to be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that also speaks, I think, to the evolution of like loot pools and whatnot as we've gone on and
Yeah.
gone further into the game.
Also, I mean, how much has Destiny changed since that anyway,
Right.
you know?
Our final question tonight comes to us from Knox. Knox, I'm
Nice.
going to let you know right now, you are asking the wrong two people this question, but I'll answer it anyways. What did you all think of the Elden Ring DLC trailer that came out recently? It is the coolest thing I will never play.
I didn't even watch it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in ever returning to Elden Ring. I'm like, I played it for.
I have never tried. I have tried one other time in my life to get into a game as hard as I tried with Elden Ring, and that was Horizon. And I felt the exact way about Horizon that I do about Elden Ring. It's really cool. I'm fine with watching people play this. I will never play this myself.
Yeah, I have always put in like I would say 8 to 12 hours into a Souls game, and I'm like, I don't understand why people like this. I don't think they're
Yep.
that difficult. The only one I ever finished was Bloodborne. And then I turned on Elden Ring. I'm like, this sure feels like a Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion of Elden Ring. um, yeah, I didn't watch the trailer because I don't.
I think the trailer looks cool. I'm fascinated by the world of Elden Ring in a way that I'm not by any other FromSoft game other than like Armored Core.
Yeah, that's true. But it's also like, if you're just comparing it to like the other Dark Souls games in particular, it is way more interesting. I still think
It is.
Bloodborne is the most interesting world they've ever
Yeah.
built, aside from maybe Sekiro. But I also have never played Sekiro, so
I would be fine with saying that about Bloodborne. You're not the only person that I've heard say that, but Elden Ring for me is just like it's the culmination of everything that they've done for like the last 15, 20 years.
yeah,
And that is to be commended. They made arguably the game of the generation.
yeah.
And that's something really cool. It's always cool to see like a game like that come out in real time. Like we
Mhm.
saw it with Elden Ring, we've seen it with Baldur's Gate 3 now. It's always a special like we remember when Breath of the Wild came out. We remember when God of War 2018 came out. Like we remember the emotions we had with these games, and like there's a reason why Elden Ring has such a dedicated community still 2 years later. And all I'm going to say is regarding my opinion on Elden Ring and will I play this or not, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is releasing on June 21st, which is the same day as Shadow of the Erd Tree. Guess which one I have pre-ordered, paid off, and will be playing on day one? It's not Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's Shin Megami Tensei 5, which if you had told me this even 6 months ago, I would have laughed you out of the fucking room. That I am that's how determined I am that I am not playing this. I am so thrilled for everyone who is excited for this. I know a lot of people in our Discord are. A lot of my friends, almost all of my friends who play games, are stoked for this. It is one of the very few super critically acclaimed games that just never hit for me.
Yeah.
It's up there on a shelf with the Horizon games and like Half-Life 2 as critically acclaimed masterpieces that I just cannot get into.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
yep.
Godspeed, friends.
Yep. I hope you all enjoy your Erd Tree.
All right, Corey, let's take a trip to the lore corner real fast.
Okay.
And then we're going to get out of here. We haven't done the lore corner in a long time. I'm hoping and praying that we haven't done this. This has been such a long season. I can't remember which ones I've done and haven't done because we took so many weeks off. Unforeseen consequences. He remembers his sister's throne differently. An amalgam. Amalgam, I guess. I don't know. God, I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. Of Elixni flotsam, built from the spoils of war. Its great weight suspended from the rafters. A thrown Uldren set ablaze in the wake of losing her. His first step down a forsaken path. He said the thing. Crow lays a hand on the throne before him. It is empty and ponderous, silhouetted by distant nebulae and cosmic dust. It feels smooth, too smooth. It was here that I first heard the news of your death, calls a familiar voice behind him. He turns to see his sister striding down the hall. Mara takes her place beside him and gazes out into the far reaches of space. Did you mourn for me? Crow asks. I did, his sister replies. She is silent for a moment. And I regret what I did to you. The manipulation, the subtle coercion. None of it went the way I intended. Crow follows her gaze out into the endless void. I know what that's like. Remorse and recommissions, Mara says absently. She turns her eyes towards him. If you could go back, alter the course of history, what would you change? He can't help but laugh. Where to begin? Crow muses with a smirk. Fades soon enough. Cade, he whispers. Mara raises an eyebrow. Oh? Before then, I could have taken a different road, but once I pulled that trigger, he shakes his head. Everything else I can set right, but not that. I just wish I could tell him I shouldn't have done it. I see, Mara murmurs. Her eyes shine in the starlight. Crow sighs and rolls his shoulders back. I should get going. Vanguard is waiting on my report. We all have our obligations, I suppose. Don't I know it? Crow nods as he heads down the hall. He pauses at the portal to the dreaming city and glances back at Mara. Ringed by the distant nebulae, she shimmers like a mirage on desert sands, and then Crow is gone. See you soon. Mara's voice echoes around the chamber as the illusion fades. Oh, brother mine. Um, I don't think that this does anything like super in depth for us. It does help us understand the relationship that Mara and Crow have post Savathun's revelations. Because obviously, we haven't gotten a lot of time with the two of them together since that's happened, and we forget it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it, but it's been 2 years since Crow found out who he really was, and him and Mara have been kind of distant. There's been a few lore pages here and there of them communicating. This season, I think, in spite of everything that I don't like about how the season progressed, I think one thing that it did right was Mara and Crow's relationship. It made
Mm-hmm.
you feel like they actually have a relationship again,
Mm-hmm.
and that it is probably the strongest it's ever been. Because as she notes, she's not manipulating him for the first time, maybe ever in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
She's not playing the long game with him or trying to get power and him being a servant to her. Essentially, he's not devoted to her. He's devoted to something higher.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, really important, because I think that the fact that their bond is what the story ultimately is hinging on at this point. Like, with Crow going through the portal, like, their bond as twins across space and time is what ultimately is going to lead to the salvation of the universe. That's kind of a wild thing when you think about it. And I love that this scene takes place in the Queen's Court, where we went and picked up so many of those needless chests and communicated with Mara after the events of Forsaken. And it's so nice to see everything being brought full circle. And it's interesting that he notes that his biggest regret, and keep in mind, he's got all of his old memories as Uldren at this point, still his biggest regret is killing Cade.
Yep.
And that signifies the change in character that Crow has undergone, who he is. Truly, he is reborn. He is not Uldren. He still has Uldren's cunning, but none of the maliciousness
Yep.
that he had. And I think that sets up a really intriguing plot thread for the final shape, because there's no way we're getting out of the final shape without Cade's spirit and Uldren, well, Crow, communicating. Because I almost wonder how much Cade's spirit within the Traveler has been able to witness. Has he been able to see everything that we've done? Has he been able to watch Crow's journey? You have to wonder. I think that's where I want to leave it. That's the food for thought. Is how much do we think Cade's been able to observe from inside the Pale Heart, if
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I wonder.
But you existed. You exist in the light, and then you return to the light. It's almost like the old adage, like man came from the dirt, and we'll return to the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like that with Guardians.
Yeah. I'm also interested to see what, I mean, you kind of already alluded to this, but what Cade remembers and what he doesn't, and if him and Crow will have some sort of interaction that,
Yeah.
is it negative? Is it positive? Is it, similar to what, Crow and Zavala had when Zavala found out, right? Like, is that moment powerful? So,
Yeah. There's a lot of interactions coming up that I'm interested to see. Obviously, I think almost as much as a potential interaction between Crow and Cade, I think we're looking forward to seeing if the Vanguard gets reunited.
mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, we're all assuming that they do based on the teaser images we've seen and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I'm assuming the fire team is reunited. I gotta see though. I mean, also, Eris and Cade, like that's low key a relationship that I'm very interested to see what happens, because Eris doesn't come back into the story in Destiny 2 until after Cade's death, and it's indicated in lore it hits her pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
Her Petra, obviously. I mean, Petra, cared so much for Cade that she went on a crusade with us.
Yeah.
To avenge him. She's the one who pulls the trigger on Uldren.
Yeah.
So, food for thought.
Food for thought. Well, Josh,
Well, Corey,
I think we did it.
get me out of here.
I think we did the thing. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. You can get it every Friday on your podcast service of choice, on YouTube, etc. Josh, thank you for your time tonight as well as always. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn, 2 N's.
And you can find me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and other places. I just want to say, Josh, the last episode in this office, very a lot of memories here. A lot of Tower Casuals memories in here. So
A lot of Tower Casuals memories.
yep. Don't worry, Josh. It'll still be the same. Might be brighter, we'll say, but it might be the same. So I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.